Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Ibu Sari Sita Laksmi MMGD, PhD as the Thesis Supervisor and the Honorable Thesis Examiners, it's a pleasure to welcome you to this presentation. My name is Harini Lukika Dhini. I would like to present my thesis with the title of The Influence of Perceived Opportunities for Development on Job Engagement Mediated by Meaningfulness. This study was undertaken on Generation Y employees in the e-commerce industry in Indonesia. This presentation consists of these following structures. First of all, I'd like to deliver some background information. It is intriguing that since 2015, Indonesia has been experiencing a significant growth on its digital economy due to the increasing internet users. By 2020, this growth intensified due to the pandemic outbreak. This figure exhibits the gross merchandise value of digital economy in Indonesia that continuously rises, at least predicted until 2025. The digital services industries consist of e-commerce, transport and food, online travel, and online media industries. Among all, e-commerce has reaped the highest growth due to the increasing smartphone access, pandemic aftermath, increasing investment, and rapid digitization. The remarkable growth of the e-commerce industry is proven by the increasing e-commerce visitors as we see on this figure. Although these 5 companies have different trends, the overall upward trends make them work harder to capitalize on the opportunity to expand. The milestones and potentials of the e-commerce industry led us to the discussion about the dynamics of human resources inside. Since this industry is relatively new, most of the e-commerce companies are expanding with the help of the tech-savvy Generation Y talents. This generation is known to be agile and expert of digitalization, but despite their valuable contributions, they are weakly engaged workers. The low engagement of these young talents deserves a considerable attention because job engagement is the robust predictor of job performance. To foster a strong job engagement requires the company to drive the employees' motivation. Existing research by Baker and Bell 2010, also Sarti 2014, discovered that opportunities for development can enhance job engagement. Besides development opportunities, Kahn 1990 proposed that meaningfulness can also influence job engagement. Fairley 2011 also mentioned that development opportunities are actually the central of meaningfulness, so they are closely related. The background information led us to the problem identification. The e-commerce companies should strategically maintain their employees' job engagement. To foster employees' job engagement, the existing research discovered that perceived opportunities for development and meaningfulness can predict job engagement. However, this existing research examined development opportunities and meaningfulness separately. So this research seeks to explore how perceived opportunities for development and meaningfulness can influence job engagement simultaneously. With this background provided, this study focuses on answering these 2 questions and fulfilling these 2 research objectives. After the introduction part, let's move on to the theoretical background. First, perceived opportunities for development as the independent variable. Lee and Brufel 2003 defined this variable as the employee's perceived level of organization's long-term commitment to help them identify and obtain new skills and competencies both personally and professionally. Previous research by Jacques et al. 2014 proposed that employees who perceive adequate development opportunities are more likely to express a higher level of engagement. Second, meaningfulness as the mediating variable. Woods and Sofa 2013 interpret meaningfulness as the state that especially relates to the positive feeling that work is worthwhile. Chiang 2021 states that employees who experience meaningfulness believe that their work serves an important purpose. Third, job engagement as the dependent variable. Kahn 1990 defines engagement as the simultaneous employment and expression of a person's preferred self in task behaviors. An organization expects their employees to engage in their job because engaged workers tend to be highly productive, and their productivity helps organizations improve their performance. This research examines 2 hypotheses. The first hypothesis is perceived opportunities for development positively influence job engagement. Job demands resources approach according to Baker 2015 explained that perceived opportunities for development are one of the job resources that can motivate employees to express job engagement. Mazeri L. 2021 also mentioned that development opportunities stimulate positive emotions that enhance willingness to perform job activities with a greater engagement. The second hypothesis is meaningfulness mediates the influence of perceived opportunities for development on job engagement. The fundamental explanation for this hypothesis derives from Fredrickson 2001, who proposes that meaningfulness as the positive emotion prompts individuals to engage with their environment and take part in activities inside it. The mediating role of meaningfulness is also explained by Farley 2011. Opportunities for development are related to meaningfulness because meaningfulness is all about self-transcendence. Employees who receive generous development opportunities will experience meaningfulness, and then they can be motivated to engage in their job. The ideas of this study are recapped in this research model. Next, I'll go on to highlight the research methods. First, let's take a look at the research design. As the qualitative research, this study employed survey research as the strategy. This data collected in this study was primary data gathered through self-administered questionnaires that was conducted just once at one point. This research design ties in with the way the sampling was designed. The samples collected were Generation Y employees who have been working at the same e-commerce company for 1.5 years or more. This research employed non-probability sampling method with purposive sampling technique that chose specific types of people to provide information. The next important point is the research instruments. The questionnaires employed 5-point Likert scale. The items of perceived opportunities for development were obtained from Fletcher 2019. The items of meaningfulness were adapted from May et 2004. The items of job engagement were adapted from 9 shortened version of Rich et 2010. Finally, the data analysis method. All the instruments items used in this study were tested for their validity and reliability. To analyze the data for testing the hypothesis, 4 regression models were estimated following Barron and Canis method and mediating condition to examine the mediation. Now let's turn our attention to the findings and discussions of this research. The data collection began from December 13, 2021 until January 3, 2022. The respondents participated were 100 Generation Y e-commerce employees. Most of the respondents were female, born between 1991 and 1995, had accomplished undergraduate degree, worked at Shopee for 1.5 until 3 years at the headquarters office, and were responsible for business and strategy development. The research instruments employed had been tested for their validity and reliability. The validity test had been conducted through the face validity and Pearson's product moment. Using Pearson's product moment, we can see that each item has a much higher computed R value than the R table value. This outcome indicates that each item was valid. Move on to the reliability test that used Cronbach alpha value as the measurement. Every variable with Cronbach alpha more than 0.6 was considered reliable. All variables in this study obtained significantly higher Cronbach alpha value than 0.6. Hence, the measurement in this research was ensured to be reliable and bias-free. Move on to the descriptive statistics. Overall, this research obtained relatively stable mean scores that are either high or very high, also stable and relatively low standard deviation that indicates there is no huge gap among the data. Here, we can see the hypothesis testing results through 4 phases of regression tests following Barron and Canis method 1986. In the first phase of regression, the influence of perceived opportunities for development on job engagement showed the positive and significant results. It was concluded through the positive beta coefficient and the computed t-value that was significantly higher than the critical value. Besides, the level of significance of the test was 0.00 that proved the significant influence. So, we can decide that hypothesis 1 is supported and so is the first mediation condition. The result of second regression test showed that perceived opportunities for development positively and significantly influenced meaningfulness. This result was approved by the significance value that was 0.00. As perceived opportunities for development significantly influenced meaningfulness, the second condition for mediation was completed. Next, the third regression showed that the influence of meaningfulness on job engagement was also positive and significant. This result was concluded from the significance value, which was 0.00. As meaningfulness significantly influenced job engagement, the third condition for mediation was met. In the fourth phase of regression, the influence of perceived opportunities for development on job engagement was positive and insignificant. This was proven by the significance value, which was 0.084. Meanwhile, the influence of meaningfulness on job engagement was still positive and significant. When the influence of independent variable on the outcome variable decreased significantly and resulted in insignificant influence in this fourth phase, then the mediation is concluded as full mediation. To sum up, hypothesis 1 was supported, and hypothesis 2 was supported with full mediation. Next, let me expand on the discussion. According to the descriptive statistics, perceived opportunities for development obtained a considerably high mean score. This condition depicts employees' perception of significant development opportunities. The e-commerce employees are willing to participate in the development opportunities and make good use of them to grow their skills and employability. E-commerce companies as the employers are also well aware that their young talents continuously seek room to grow. They manage to understand that providing development opportunities is not only aimed to survive in the tight competition, but also to motivate their employees. As a consequence, the e-commerce firms provide many development opportunities that cover work function-related skill trainings, soft skill developments, and career progressions. These findings are in line with Shaw Valley 2017. This existing study claims that perceived opportunities for development can positively influence job engagement because they provide a positive motivational process to deliver the optimal efforts for job-related activities. Move on to the second hypothesis. The regression test shows that the influence of perceived opportunities for development on job engagement significantly decreased as meaningfulness was included. However, the strong correlation between perceived opportunities for development and meaningfulness strengthened the mediating role of meaningfulness. Development opportunities are still crucial to promote job engagement. COSL 2018 mentioned that employees need development opportunities to learn something from their works and to grow themselves to finally feel meaningfulness. With the presence of meaningfulness, employees value their work better and are consciously aware of their roles. Meaningfulness is essential in determining job engagement because besides generous development opportunities, the employees still need to experience meaningfulness first to finally engage in their job roles and activities. Before we end the presentation, let me conclude the findings and deliver some suggestions that may be useful in the future. All of the findings discovered in this study took us to these two main conclusions. From the practical standpoint, this research helped companies understand how they should design and deliver development opportunities to foster their employees' job engagement. This research also encouraged the e-commerce companies to help employees perceive their work as something worthwhile that resonates with their needs and purposes, so that they are willing to engage in their job roles and activities. From the academic standpoint, this research extends the understanding of promoting job engagement through perceived opportunities for development with full mediation of meaningfulness. This study can also be a helpful reference for any future research that includes perceived opportunities for development, meaningfulness, and job engagement as the variables. Finally, I'd like to deliver some suggestions. First, the e-commerce companies should ensure that they design and deliver worthwhile opportunities for development in preferable mechanisms. Second, the employers should promote positive psychological emotions such as meaningfulness by giving the employees validation, recognition, and developmental rewards. Third, regarding the future research, the next research will be more insightful and interesting if it is conducted among more diverse e-commerce marketplace firms and compares the differences among them. Fourth, the future research can also elaborate this study by adding more variables that can influence job engagement. Fifth, although this research conducted an interview as a preliminary research, the future research can conduct a deeper interview to complete the data collection and make things clearer. That concludes my presentation. Thank you for taking time out to listen. Any constructive feedbacks are highly appreciated to improve this study.